Okay, let's just jump right in. We're about to look at food in a totally new way, a way that could seriously help you fight off disease and just feel stronger for the rest of your life. And this is all based on the revolutionary work of a Harvard-trained physician, Dr. William Li. It really all kicks off with a number that's, well, it's pretty shocking.
So get this, between 1990 and 2019, the global rate of cancer in people under 50 shot up by nearly 80%. We're talking about things like breast cancer, colon cancer, popping up in people who are in their 20s, 30s, and 40s. And you know, that just raises a huge question.
I mean, we have all this health advice, right? It's everywhere. So why are chronic diseases, cancer, diabetes, dementia, why are they all on the rise? It really feels like we're heading in the wrong direction. And that brings us to this fundamental problem in modern health.
Yeah, we are living in a paradox. We've made these incredible scientific leaps, but at the same time, our lifestyles, our environment, they seem to be tipping the scales against us. We're seeing more and more of these chronic diseases, and what's really scary is they're starting to hit us so much younger.
According to Dr. Li, what we're really seeing now is the fallout from decades of stuff like food industrialization, damage to our environment, things we never really thought twice about. The long-term effects are finally starting to show up in our health. But to really get to the solution, we've got to change how we think about the problem itself, especially when we talk about cancer.
For most of us, cancer feels like this terrifying game of roulette, right? Just a random lightning strike. But what if that's not the real story? Dr. Li gives us a completely new and honestly a much more empowering way to think about all this.
Dr. Li puts it like this: cancer isn't some super rare thing that happens. He says it's a constant microscopic process that's happening inside every single one of us every single day. And the scale of this, it's just mind-blowing.
Okay, so your body is made of about 40 trillion cells. Every day, those cells have to copy and paste their DNA to make new cells. And in that process, your body makes about 10,000 mistakes that don't get fixed. Every one of those mistakes, that's the start of a microscopic cancer.
So hold on. If we're all walking around making these tiny little cancers all day long, why aren't we all sick? Well, the answer to that question is the key to everything. It's because our bodies are actually built to fight back.
From the moment we're born until our last breath, our bodies have these 5 hardwired health defense systems. The best way to think about them is like a police cruiser that's constantly patrolling your body, spotting these microscopic threats and just taking them out before they can ever become a real problem.
To really see how powerful these defenses are, let's just zoom in on one of them. It's called angiogenesis. It's right at the center of how your body controls growth, and it's a key battleground in the fight against cancer.
So angiogenesis is how your body grows and maintains its entire circulation system, all 60,000 miles of it. It's incredible. These blood vessels are like the highways that deliver oxygen and nutrients to every single cell. It's supposed to be a perfectly balanced system, making sure blood vessels only grow where they're needed. But cancers have a pretty devious plan. As a tiny cancer starts to grow, it needs a food source. So what it does is it actually hijacks your body's angiogenesis system. It tricks it into building brand new blood vessels that lead directly to the tumor. It's like a biological mutiny. The second that first blood vessel connects, that tumor can just explode in size. We're talking 16,000 times larger in just 2 weeks. And this is exactly where food comes into the picture.
So, in his lab, Dr. Li tested all these different substances to see if they could cut off the blood supply to tumors. And what he found is amazing. You can see that some cancer drugs, they work. They're effective. But then look at the results from compounds in everyday foods, like soy and green tea. They are just as potent, and in some cases even more potent than the actual drugs at starving cancer. This isn't just a theory, you guys. This is powerful, powerful proof of food as medicine.
Years ago, Dr. Li felt totally powerless when his uncles died from cancer. But then, when his own mother was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer, the science had changed. With a combination of modern immunotherapy and a diet specifically designed to boost her body's own defenses, her 80-year-old immune system just woke up.
She went from stage 4 to stage 0, and more than a decade later, she is healthy and totally cancer-free. So if our bodies are designed to protect us, what's going wrong? What's happening? Well, the key is to figure out what's lowering our defenses. What are the everyday things that are basically turning off our internal alarm systems? It really just comes down to a daily balancing act. On one side, you've got things that take our defenses down, that weaken our internal protection. And on the other side, you've got foods and habits that build those same defenses up, making our bodies stronger. Let's take a closer look at what weakens us. Each one of these things targets our defenses. Added sugars, they weaken our metabolism. Too much sodium harms our circulation, that whole angiogenesis system we just talked about. Chronic stress, it directly suppresses our immune system and can even damage our DNA. And the latest research is showing that things like microplastics and too much alcohol, they act like toxins, systematically taking down our body's protective systems.
Okay, now for the really good news, we can actually choose foods that build our defenses back up. And this isn't about some restrictive, miserable diet. It's about adding powerful, delicious foods to your plate that help your body do what it's designed to do.
Think of these foods as your reinforcements. Matcha, for example, has compounds that can actually target and kill cancer stem cells in the lab. Cooked tomatoes are loaded with lycopene, a molecule that helps cut off a tumor's blood supply. And the evidence here is incredible. One huge study found that men who ate just a few servings of cooked tomatoes a week had almost a 30% lower risk of prostate cancer. Berries, nuts, soy, they all have these natural compounds that actively support your body's defenses, helping it starve out any of those microscopic cancers before they can ever grow.
And this right here is probably the most important takeaway. This isn't about forcing yourself to eat a bunch of stuff you hate. The whole goal is to find the healthy, powerful foods that you actually enjoy and make them a part of your life. Because loving your food is the most sustainable way to love your health.
Every single meal is a chance to make a choice that supports your body. It could be as simple as adding berries to your breakfast, or choosing matcha instead of that second cup of coffee, or having a side of tomato sauce with dinner. So, knowing what you know now, what's one simple choice you can make today to start raising your shields?